Let's talk about database seeding in this lesson. I will bring back the sidebar and browse into App, Database, and now you'll see we have this new seeds directory. So let's take a look and see how this works. So this database seeder, of course, is provided out of the box, and you can see it has a run method, and this will be responsible for running all of your seeds. So let's review the workflow for seeding this post table that we created in the previous lesson. Well, the first step would be to create a new seed, and you probably want to follow a naming convention here. So I will call this the name of the table, then seeder.php. So we will do a copy and paste, and then I'll show you a shortcut that I use. So I'm just going to copy all of this and replace the name with post table seeder. And then this method will be called automatically. So in this case, we want to create a few rows. So I will say posts, and we'll just add it within an array. And we will say title is my first post, and the body will be body of post. Okay, maybe we'll do that, and one more. The only difference will be my second post. All right, so now we have an array of 2 posts. So let's go ahead and insert that into the post table. Now we could use Eloquent if you have already created your post model. However, if you haven't yet, and it's likely if you're maybe doing test-driven development, you wouldn't have gotten that far just yet. So let's use the database class. We'll say database, table, posts, and I want to insert this array of posts into that table. And that's really it. So now we've created our seeder. I'm going to come back and make sure I tell it, I want you to run this post table seeder class. All right, let's try it out. If I return to the console, I can say artisan db:/seed. We are going to seed the database. So let's run it, and we get database seeded. If I come back and I view the content, now you can see, sure enough, it did work. Now that might have seemed like a lot of work just to insert 2 rows. However, I think you're going to like it because it's very flexible. In this case, if you wanted to use Eloquent, you could do that. If you wanted to use the Fluent Query Builder, you could do that as well. So you have a lot more control over how you seed your tables and which ones you seed. To finish up the lesson though, let me show you a slightly quicker way to do this using a snippet. Let's return to SQL Pro, and we are going to remove both of those so that we can start from scratch. Now I will delete that file, and now we're back to the beginning. Let's run through this workflow again using a snippet, and this is how I would do it in my everyday workflow. First, I create a new seed file, post table seeder, and then I have a shortcut here called seed, which extends to this snippet. So then I can say I'm going to seed the post table, and then we can add our rows. My first post, we'll just stick with 1 for now. I hit save, and now everything is done. So notice that because I'm using Sublime text snippets here, I can be somewhat dynamic, where the name I give it here is also going to be the name of the variable, as well as the name of the table that I insert into. So then that makes it a lot easier. The only thing I have to do at that point is make sure I run this call post table seeder, and I'm done. Let's run the command again, and the database has been seeded exactly like we did before. But now because I used a snippet, this process is significantly quicker. And I recommend that you do the same using whichever editor you prefer. The final thing is, let's figure out how we can seed and migrate at the same time. So once again, if I come back here and just delete this, let's refresh the migrations. So artisan, migrate, refresh. As we learned in the previous lesson, that's going to roll back all of the migrations and then run them again. However, this time I'm going to pass the seed flag. So now notice that it rolled back every migration we had, then it reran the migrations, and then finally it executed db:/seed, and now we're exactly back to how we were, but we refreshed everything and seeded the database in the process.